righty, our timer has hit 0. It is time to start our sermon. Here's what I love is I know the questions that your leaders were given to ask, and I heard the conversations, and I'm really confused. Because the question was like, favorite season and what do you like to do? And Josiah wants to run away from a bully. So apparently it's anything with school and running. All right, so we're going to jump in. What is your favorite season? Pop-Tarts. That's the food. Season 4. You weren't even alive when the best season of Fortnite was. All right, so we're going to jump into our message. What is our sermon series right now? Nailed it. Stepping out. What are we currently doing as a youth group? We are going through the Bible. Good job. What book of the Bible are we currently in? False. Josie. No. Where were we last week? I'll give you a hint. We talked about, pause. Who did we talk about last week? Wyatt's got his hand up. Moses. Good. Owen, what book are we in then? Yes. Good job. So that's 2 correct. So that means the boys got 2 correct answers. So does that mean boys are smarter than girls? You know what I love? All the girls are like, no. Now, before you ask, Sarah is not here tonight because Sarah is sick. Sarah had the babies. Just kidding. She did not. I would not be here. She just has a cold, so she is not here. But I think she might be watching online. So we are in week 2 of Stepping Out. Tonight, we are talking about the Israelites. The Israelites are who? I love your hand being raised, but you are right. God's chosen people. When do we learn that? Kind of, yeah, okay. Levi, Genesis, good job. Now, what? Oh, they're on fire right now, I know. Okay, now, I want to hear, listen up. What happens right at the end of the story of Moses? Where did we end last week? What are Moses and the Israelites currently doing? Caleb. It's all right. Josie. Are they wandering? Not quite. Weston. Where? Egypt. Good job. Now, what's something crazy about that? I know, the 6th grade boys are going crazy tonight. I apologize, ladies. The ladies in this front row are like, and Ian. And I'll say this. The people in the front row are like, we just want to have a nice, quiet night at youth group. The second row is like, so, yeah. Okay. Now, here's what I want. God sent 10 what to Egypt? Ian? Plagues. Well done. Okay. Can someone, God sent 10 commandments. We are going to talk about those tonight. What are some of the plagues? Okay. Frogs, yes. Okay. Flies. Locusts. Wyatt. River turned to blood. Bugs. Weston. Firstborn child died. Josiah. Shh. Hey. Shh. What? Animals kept on dying. We haven't got them all. Weston? Gnats? Andrew? No. Darkness? April? Boils? That's what you were going to say, Levi? Okay. I think we got most of them. Oh! Hail! Good job! Dang. Just so you know, because you got a correct answer, Quinn hit you with that. I don't know why, because that has nothing to do with hail. Unless it was hailing monkeys. That would be, I think the Bible would say, if God just dropped monkeys from the sky. Boom. That would be horrifying. Oh, man. All right. Tonight, we are going to be talking about 8 stories, and we're covering 2 books of the Bible. So, you need to listen, you need to pay attention, because some of these stories are crazy, but they're awesome. So, the Israelites leave. They get out of Egypt. Remember, Moses parts the Red Sea. There's this crazy story. They are free, and what do the Israelites do? They start complaining. So, tonight's sermon is a different sermon than I've ever preached. Tonight's sermon is a comparison sermon. We're going to look at what the Israelites do, and then we're going to look at what God did. Now, it's not always positive, because the Israelites made like 12 billion mistakes during this time. So, we're going to look at what the Israelites did, and we're going to look at then how God responds. So, our first story is the Israelites complain, and God provides manna, quail, and water. You can find the story in Exodus 16 all the way through chapter 17, verse 7. So the Israelites are hungry. Y'all ever been hungry? Now, when I think of this story, I'm not thinking that they're just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. They're like emotional hungry. They're hangry, okay? I'm talking, y'all ever been at the spot where your stomach growls, and it's not the normal growl. Like, there's normal, like, and you're like, man, I need to eat something. This is the deep, like, and you're like, oh, no, I think my stomach's going to eat my liver if I don't get some food going. You ever had that? You ever been so hungry you stop being hungry? Like, nothing sounds good? This happens to Sarah all the time. She's like, man, I'm really hungry. I'm like, what sounds good? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's like saying you're cold and not getting a blanket. And she's like, well, just nothing sounds good, but I'm still hungry. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to eat? She's like, well, I don't want food. And I'm like, so you want to eat something that's not food? Like, I'm like, yeah, like, what? It doesn't make sense, but that's how I imagine. Now, here's the deal. Most people, when you're hungry, you, like, go get food. Okay? Like, when I'm hungry, I don't just sit there and go, like, I'm starving. I'm like, well, let's get up and get food. Okay? The Israelites complain. They start, the Bible actually says grumbling. Okay? Which I think is the actual sound your stomach makes when you're hungry. Grumble. So, they are like, they're just an emotional mess. Okay? So, here's how hungry they got. If only the Lord had killed us back in Egypt. You got to be hungry or emotional to say, it was better off if we were back being slaves than if we were dead. But we serve a gracious God. So God sends manna. What's manna? Owen. I'm sorry. I almost called you Caleb. Owen. Manna. Yes, but specific, what type of food? Yeah, it's kind of like a wheat flat bread, but nothing like we have today because God didn't work at a pita bread. So, or a pita pit. So, God sends manna and quail. What is quail? It's a bird. So what does a bird have? Meat. So God literally, from the sky, is dropping food. Okay? The Israelites, to eat, all they have to do is this. That's all they have to do. Hold up. Why didn't God drop tacos? Because a taco shell falling for thousands and thousands of feet would probably kill you. Just a taco shell, you're like, like, are you kidding? God's not going to kill. And how would we read that in Scripture? The Israelites died, death by taco. Don't think that would. Cody's like, that is my dream. I want to die by taco. No. Okay. Then, the Israelites are still complaining. Listen, they're still complaining. They're like, what? We're thirsty. So God has Moses go up to a rock with the same staff that he put in the Red Sea and split the Red Sea. He goes up to a rock and he goes, bam! Water comes out of the rock. Now, have you ever, like, hit something? No. Have you ever hit something that shouldn't have water in it? Like, I don't know, A sibling? If you punched your sibling and your sibling just went and water started coming out, you'd be like, am I Jesus? Am I a superhero? Yeah, but not coming out like a river. Moses had a stick, hit a rock, water came out. I wonder if Moses was like, which actually he does later on in the Bible. But, okay, that's story one. So what do the Israelites act like? They complain. They're hungry. God sends food. Story two, you can find it in Exodus 17. It's just the second half of that chapter. What happens? The Amalekite attack them. They attack. Amalekite. They attack. Okay? They were powerful. The correct biblical translation is the bad guys. They attack. What does God do? God tells Moses to go up on a mountain, overlook them, and lift your hands. Verse 11 says, as long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the gained the advantage. So God tells Moses, hey, do you want to win? And Moses is like, well, yeah. And God goes, do this. So Moses does it. Now, I love this story. I want you to think about this, okay? Imagine God says, what's a sport someone plays? Tell me a sport. Soccer. Soccer's a good one, okay? Imagine God goes, Owen, do you want to win? And Owen's like, yes, Lord. Lift your hands and you'll win. And Owen's like, okay. Owen does this. At that time, his teammate kicks a goal. Owen's like, but as soon as Owen puts his hands down, someone else scores. What's Owen going to do? Owen's probably going to keep his hands up, right? Well, yes, that would be funny if you're like this on a soccer field. You'd probably get yelled at by your coach. Owen, what are you doing? I'm winning for Jesus! That'd be weird. So, but, shh, listen up. Hey, Wyatt, stop. So, but here's the problem. You can't just stand with your arms high all day. Moses gets tired. So what happens when he gets tired? Arms come down. What happens then? They start losing. So, verse 12 said, Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron, and get this guy's name, H-U-R, Hur. Okay? Found a stone for him to sit on. Then they stood on each side and held up his arms so that the Israelites would win. This is, guys, this is crazy. The entire war depended on if Moses could keep his hands up. So, in squads now, I want you to talk about those two stories. Break them down. Go. 30 seconds. All right, we're going to end conversation. Circle back up. Circle back up. You're going to have more time to keep talking, but we got 2 more stories to talk about. We're going to jump ahead to Exodus 20. In Exodus 19, God tells Moses, I want you to go up on this mountain. Can anyone tell me what the name of that mountain is? Caleb? Good job, Mount Sinai. Or as, So God tells Moses, I want you to come up on the mountain. I'm going to meet you there. You know how terrifying that'd be? I have meetings all the time, okay? But when I'm meeting with, like, P. Sean, who's like, dude, we should hang. And I'm like, okay, but what do you want to talk about? And he goes, Sean, there's an app called Marco Polos where you send videos to people. It's an old, weird app. And so Sean holds it this far from his face, and he goes, I just want to see you, bro. And I'm like, so, but what are we going to talk about? And he goes, oh, well, we need to talk about summer camp. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a big deal. Can you imagine if, like, you were meeting with God? Like, God's like, I want you to show up to the Starbucks. I'm going to be there. I would be freaking out. Because, A, I'd be like, what am I going to wear? It's God. Okay? Like, obviously, you got to wear some Jesus drip, but, like, what if God's like, don't like that? And you're like, I really tried. I'm sorry. Or, like, what if you walk in and God's like, like, that'd be terrifying. But God's like, Moses, come on this mountain. I want you to meet me. So what we see is at this point, the Israelites lack structure. If we've learned anything from the book of Genesis and 20 chapters of Exodus, is they lack structure. They're just kind of like wandering, not doing things well. They'll do something really well, then they'll make a mistake. Then they'll do something really well, then they'll make a mistake. So we see the Israelites lack structure. God provides them with the 10 Commandments. So in Exodus 20, we see God give Moses the 10 Commandments. And God actually wrote them down on like a stone tablet and was like, here, the original tablet. No one got that joke. You know. So you did get it. You just didn't think it was funny? Okay. Okay. God gives Moses the 10 Commandments. Can someone tell me a commandment? One of them. Wyatt. Yeah, I mean, that is. It's just not quite phrased like that. But yeah, Weston? Yep. Caleb? Oh, my gosh. Owen? Yep. Don't steal. Kess? Don't cover your neighbor, Caleb / Owen, because I keep mixing you up. Sorry. Love the Lord your God, Kate. Josie? Don't commit adultery, Quinn? Boom. I think she's reading off a list, Andrew. I think it's it. Braxton? Dang, Braxton going to the original list. Dang, I like it. Okay, good job. Those are the 10 Commandments. So God, Wyatt, no more, okay? Boom. Keep the Sabbath holy. Good job. So, good job, Levi. So, God gives Moses the 10 Commandments. God's like, here's how I want you to act. And then God spends 12 chapters talking with Moses about different things. Talking with Moses. Guys, I want you to get this, okay? These chapters, a lot of people just read through them because they're like, eh. But these are like, this is proof that God is talking with Moses. Like, God is like, this is how I want you to act. This is how I want you to treat people. We go all the way to Exodus 32. Now, here's the crazy part. This is how dumb the Israelites are at times. It says in Exodus 32, this is our next story. When the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Who's Aaron? Raise your hand. Aaron. Who's Aaron? Ooh, Levi. Yep, that is one of them. What's his relationship to Moses? Yes, but he's... Shh. Caleb, who is he? Moses' brother. And What role did Moses or did Aaron play when they were in Egypt? Not quite, because they were. Yes, he was the voice for Moses, because remember, Moses had a speech impediment. Good job. So they surround Aaron and they say, come on, make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us here from the land of Egypt. That is so disrespectful. That Moses is taking a long time because, I don't know, he's talking with God. Okay? The Israelites are just like, oh, it's taking forever. Aaron, build us a God that can lead us because I don't even know who Moses is anymore. That's so rude. So, Aaron, now here's the thing. Aaron had an opportunity to be like, you guys are being dumb. Wait, does Aaron do that? No. Aaron tells them, take all of the gold that you have, rings, whatever stuff you have that's gold. I could not think of any. Rings from their ears and bring them to me. He melted them down, made a golden calf. What's a calf? A baby cow. Made a golden calf, and they worshipped it. Right? You're like, what? Literally, this is what Aaron does. So then, God tells Moses, quick, go down to the mountain. The people that you brought with you from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away. And then God gets mad. Rightfully so, right? He says, I've seen how stubborn they are and rebellious they are. Now leave me alone so my fierce anger can blaze against them and I will destroy them. And then Moses goes, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Let me talk to them, okay? Have you ever been in that moment where like one friend's like, I'm gonna break him, and you're like, whoa, 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 let me talk to him. Any peacekeepers here? Any middle ground people? Yeah. Moses is like, hold up, which by the way, that takes guts. To stand up for someone that's doing something wrong to God, took some guts. Moses says, let me talk to him. Remember this, remember your promise. So the Lord changed his mind and told Moses to go. Moses goes down the mountain. When Joshua, you're going to want to remember the name Joshua for a couple weeks from now. Joshua was one of the people that worked with Moses, was over the army. Joshua went up with Moses a little bit on the mountain, and so Moses comes down, and Joshua's like, I'm kind of hearing a loud, like, crazy thing going on down there. I think something's happening. And Moses goes, yeah, they're worshiping a calf. Goes down, sees the calf, melts the calf down. You ready for this? This is crazy. Listen. Shh. He took the calf they made and burned it. He then ground it into powder, threw it into the water, and forced the people to drink it. Okay? Okay? Do you think Moses is a little mad at this moment? I think a little bit, okay? Aaron says, don't get so upset. You ever had a sibling tell you to calm down? Does that not make you want to burn the house to the ground? Okay? When I was growing up, my brother would do this all the time. I'd be like, oh, I'm so mad. And he'd be like, don't be. I'd be like, what? What do you mean don't be? Just don't get mad. And he'd be like, it's a mindset. I'd be like, you know what my mindset is right now? It involves your arm going that way and your head going that way. Okay? Moses is so mad. How many of you have heard of the Levites? Levites, okay? Not the two Levi's in the room. Levites. Who are the Levites, Weston? Yes. What? They are also one of the 12 tribes. Has anyone wondered why they became like priests? Do you think they were randomly picked? Caleb, do you know why? Some of them did not. Some of them did not. Moses called them forward and says, get rid of those that worshipped. And they listened to Moses, and he says, today you have ordained yourself for the service of the Lord, for you obeyed him, even though it meant losing some of your sons and brothers. Today you earned a blessing. So the Levites stood apart from the rest of the tribes, some of them. They had to get rid of those. It actually says kill. 3,000 Levites that day did not do the right thing and worship the calf. The rest of them had to kill them, but then God set them apart. So it's not that they just randomly picked. It's not like Moses was like, we need priests. Levites. He set them apart because they did the right thing. Now, I want you to go to squads, talk about it. Owen, take your question to Andrew, okay? Andrew, I think, can handle it. Go to squads. Okay, 30 seconds. All right, we're going to keep going. Shh. Oh. Okay, we're going to keep going. This next one, I'm going to move quickly. So, we're going to jump to the book of Numbers. But in between Exodus and the book of Numbers is a book. What book is in between those two? Ian. Leviticus. Good job. Now, here's the deal. Leviticus, before Jesus arrived, Leviticus was probably top 3 or 4 most important books in the Old Testament. Why? What? Talks about the laws. What else does it talk about? A little bit, okay, but what else? Someone other than Josiah. Andrew, what does Leviticus talk about? A little bit. Outside of some rules. What's like the theme? Theme. We talked about this earlier. That's okay. Here's what the book of Leviticus is all about. Shh. Are the Israelites good at doing the right thing? Nope. Do you want to share? Yeah. Basically, the book of Leviticus is like, okay, you're not holy. Here's how you sanctify yourself. Here's how you make yourself holy. And the problem is, they couldn't even do it. God labeled it all out, wrote it all out for them, and they failed. They still struggled with it. So, the book of Leviticus is super important. It is needed. A lot of people make fun of this book, and it's really too bad because a lot of what is talked about in this book is the grace of a God who's giving you another chance. Leviticus is not just some boring rule book. It is a book about how to receive God's forgiveness. It's a book about how to be accepted into this group. The problem is, we're so bad that he had to set up rules. Because not anyone can just be in the presence of God. So, we're going to skip Leviticus for right now, but we will keep referencing it. We're going to jump to our next story, Numbers chapter 13. What did God promise to give the Israelites? Yes, land. So the promised land. What? Okay. He said, I'm going to lead you to a promised land. It's going to be flowing with milk and honey. Okay? Now, that might sound like a weird combo, but if you've ever had a honey latte, you're really missing out on just something really good. Okay? But it's flowing with milk and honey. Does that mean all they can eat there is milk and honey? Why did God phrase it like that? What's he saying? Caleb. Yep, no, you keep going. You're right. Shh. Yes. You're so close. Yep. You've got it. You're saying it. Yes. This land's going to have everything they need. And not just everything they need, but more. It's like it's not just what they need, it's going to bless them. It's going to have everything they need and everything they want. So when the Israelites are walking, now do you guys know how many Israelites they were traveling together at this time? How big was the group? Yep, several. Yep. More than that. More than that, Owen. More than that. A lot more than that. More than that. More than 1 million. They have a lot of babies. There's not a lot to do during that time. Just Andrew, over how many? Do you remember the number? 3 million. Over 3 million people are walking. Moses is leading them. They get to a spot where they can see the promised land. Moses sends 12 spies. Why does he send 12 spies? Yeah, you're not going to send 3 million spies. Why 12 spies, Caleb? 12 tribes, one from each tribe. He sends them in. He's like, I need you to go scout the land. Go look at the land. Go see what it's like. So these 12 spies are like, we got you. They go and sneak in. They bring back some fruit. But the problem is they run into an issue. Anyone know what issue they run into? Josiah, what do they run into? Yeah, they run into the people that are there. And they are giants. So there's some people there that are giants. They run in. There's these massive armies. There's these huge cities that it says they're fortified, which means they're really secure and they're either hard to get to or there's like a huge wall around it. So there's a lot of issues. So the 12 spies come back and 10 of them tell Moses, it's amazing. It's so good. Don't go. And Moses goes, what? 10 spies are like, it's so good. It's flowing with milk and honey. The fruit is amazing. Look, we've brought you some of the fruit. It's so good. But people there are tall. Don't go. And then one of them, the spy is named Caleb, says, no, we should go. 2 of the 12, Caleb and Joshua, say, we can take them. So now, let's get this straight. Joshua is the leader of the army. Do you think Joshua knows how well his people can fight? Yeah. And then Caleb is like one of the holiest people in Israel. So those two are like, we should take it. The other 10 are like, no, they're too tall. So what does Moses do? Listens to the 10. And then God tells him that they are not allowed to enter the land. We're going to come back to that. Back to your squads. Go. Back to conversations quickly. You only have 2 minutes. Go. "45 seconds to wrap up." Okay, hurry and wrap up. You'll have more time to talk, but we got to be quick. All right, turn back. Give me your attention again. I only got 2 more stories for you. Here we go. Numbers 21. You'll be shocked to find out the Israelites once again grow impatient. Have you ever wanted to smack somebody for making the same mistake over and over? I wish I could line up all 3 million people in Israel and just go, boop, 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 but that would take all day. My arm would get real tired. So the Israelites grow impatient again. So God's starting to get annoyed. Do you think God has a reason to be annoyed? No? I think he does. I get annoyed with some of you, and I'm like, hey, we just need to be quiet. I'm like, shh, got it! Okay? Or at summer camp, when I'm like, hey, you can be loud, you can do whatever you want, but at midnight, we need to be quiet in our cabins. So some of you are quiet all day. 12:01 hits, and I'm walking by the cabins, and I hear screaming. You know what I want to do in that moment? Not walk up and give you a hug and pray for you. I want to walk up with a baseball bat and just, okay? But I can't do that. Your parents get upset sometimes. So God tests them. God's getting a little annoyed. So God sends snakes. Now, first off, before we get to this part, this is what they say to God. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die here in the wilderness? They act like God's never taken care of them. Like, have you forgotten everything? So God sends poisonous snakes among the people, and many were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and cried out, we have sinned against God by speaking against the Lord and speaking against you. Pray that the Lord will take away the snakes. So Moses goes and talks to God. God says, make a replica of a poisonous snake and attach it to a pole. All who are bitten will live if they simply look at it. So Moses made a snake out of bronze and attached it to a pole. Then anyone who was bitten by a snake could look at the bronze snake and be healed. You guys, God keeps, listen up, God keeps giving these people a way out. They keep doing the wrong thing. They keep making a mistake. They keep doing everything wrong. And God's like, die. But if you don't want to die, here's a way out. They're like, we're hungry. God's like, here's bread, meat, and water. They're like, okay. Moses goes on a mountain. They're like, he's taking too long. Then later, God's like, go, there's the land. Here's what I gave you. And they're like, man, the people are too tall. And he's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It's insane. But God, so they put a bronze snake. Imagine you get bit by a poisonous snake, and all you have to do is look at the bronze snake, and you're healed. Isn't that crazy? Oh, that would be so nice if modern healthcare was like that. It'd be awesome. I break my ankle playing Gaga ball, and I'm like, ah! Oh, look at that, healed. Okay, our last story is in Numbers 32. Numbers chapter 32. Specifically, verses 10 through 15. The Israelites, once again, stop following God. So God's response, right? Owen's like, wow, that's a shocker. So God's response now, God's kind of had it. God's response is, none of you will get to enter the promised land. Specifically what he says is to the generation, the older generation. He says, I'm going to wait until all of you die until I let the Israelites into the promised land. Except two. Who do you think were the two that he picked? Caleb and Joshua. Why? Don't answer that. You're going to talk about it in your squads. So, why do they wander in the desert for 40 years? Because God had to wait for all of that generation to die out. So it says in verse 10 through 15, I'm going to read this and we're going to jump back into squads. Wow, I went to the wrong chapter. That's awkward. Learn how to read a Bible, Brogan. All right, so it says, then the Lord was very angry with them, and he vowed, of all of those I rescued from Egypt, no one who is 20 years or older will ever see the land that I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for they have not obeyed me wholeheartedly. The only exceptions are Caleb and Joshua, for they have followed me wholeheartedly. The Lord was angry with Israel and made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the entire generation that sinned in the Lord's sight had died. So here's what I want you guys to recognize. We serve a God that is full of grace. But our actions have consequences. We serve a God that is full of grace. And in today's world, people love talking about that. You guys will hear this as you grow up and as you hear more people in churches, you hear friends, you'll hear about, oh, God will forgive me. Oh, I can live how I want. God will forgive me. Yes, God will forgive you. Yes, we serve a God of grace. But what you do does matter. Your consequences have actions. And by the way, your actions have consequences. I said that and I was like, that didn't sound right. Your actions have consequences. And consequences doesn't mean bad. It's good or bad. Joshua and Caleb acted a certain way. And they were blessed to go into the promised land. Do you know who leads Israel into the promised land? Joshua. But he had to wait 40 years for everyone that he knew to die out. So, you're going to end your time in squads tonight with your leaders. I want you to wrap up any conversations. Leaders at 6:43, so you got like 17 minutes. I want you to wrap up conversations, talk about the stories. You're going to pray together in a group. But I'm going to pray for you right now, okay? Close your eyes. Lord, I thank you for these middle schoolers. I pray that you will guide their conversation. God, and I pray that you will help us to not make the same mistake over and over and over again like the Israelites did. Cover us, Lord, in your name. Amen. Go back to squads.